Did you know Australia once went to war against emus and lost? Yes, you heard that right. In today's video, we're diving into the bizarre and true story of the Great Emu War of 1932. Stick around to find out how this unusual conflict started, how it played out, and the surprising outcomes. It's a tale of man versus bird like you've never heard before. Let's set the scene. It's the early 1930s in Australia, and the country is struggling through the Great Depression. Farmers, especially in Western Australia, were having a tough time. They had returned from World War I hoping to settle down and make a living, but instead, they faced economic hardship and failing crops. Enter the emus. These large, flightless birds found the farmlands to be a perfect feeding ground. Thousands of emus descended on the wheat fields, gobbling up crops and trampling over everything. For the struggling farmers, this was a disaster. The farmers turned to the government for help, and the government decided to take an unusual approach. They called in the military. Yes, you heard that right. The military was deployed to deal with the emu invasion. Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery was put in charge. Armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, the soldiers headed into the bush, confident they would easily defeat the birds. The initial encounters were nothing short of chaotic. The emus proved to be fast and elusive, making it difficult for the soldiers to get a clear shot. On November 2, 1932, the first attempt was made. About 50 emus were in range, but the birds scattered as soon as the soldiers started shooting, and only a few were killed. Over the next few days, the soldiers tried different tactics. They even mounted one of the machine guns on a truck, but the terrain was too rough, and the emus were too quick. The military efforts continued for a few weeks, but the emus consistently outsmarted the soldiers. By the end of 1932, it was clear the emus had won. The soldiers had used up thousands of rounds of ammunition with very little success. The government decided to withdraw the troops, and the emus continued to roam the farmlands. The Great Emu War became a source of embarrassment for the government and a bizarre chapter in Australian history. Despite their best efforts, the humans had been bested by the birds. The Great Emu War remains a quirky and fascinating story from history. It highlights the challenges of wildlife management and the lengths to which people will go to protect their livelihoods. Today, it serves as a humorous reminder of a time when Australia went to war with its own native fauna and lost.